Hello and welcome to Smash Hit Sports. I'm your host, Cody. We had a week full of upsets in the NFL, some electric football. We had Bills Chiefs, we had Giants Ravens, all of the best games, and no one better to have on to break it all down than Steph Smalls. Steph does golf and football gambling content for Champions Round. If you haven't downloaded the Champions Round app, I highly recommend you do so. It's a very, very fun app to use. I use it all the time. And I win all the time because I follow Steph's great advice. Steph, thanks for coming on.
Of course, I'm so excited. It's going to be fun to talk some Giants, Bengals, and the rest of the league because it was a little bit of a weird week.
It was. And this was a week with like quite a few big favorites, and that's never, any given Sunday is a saying for a reason. There is no sure thing in the NFL, and there was no sure thing this weekend. Before we even get into it, if you are not subscribed to Smalls Talk Balls on Spotify, Steph's podcast, you absolutely should. It is incredible. That being said, Steph, you are a Giants fan. We got to start with an incredible comeback. Giants 24, Ravens 20, the Cardiac Giants. What a game, what a season so far for the men in blue.
It's seriously crazy. You know, everyone talks about what coaching can do, what good O-line play can do. You can attest to that also, how important this team, you can't count them out anymore. Like, they're not an easy W. You have to go into that game and actually game plan. And I think they're catching people a little bit on, everyone's like, oh, it's just the Giants. No, it's the Giants with an awesome coach. And, they probably make some of the best halftime adjustments that I've seen in a very long time. I've never seen anything like it. It's really impressive, especially being a Giants fan and watching what we have unfortunately suffered for the past several years.
Look, it's been tough to be a New York football fan of either team for the last decade or so, but I agree. I don't think you have comeback wins are like, oh well, they start bad and come back from the look. The NFL is a super competitive league. You have a coach in Brian Daboll who right now not only is he running away with the best rookie head coach in the NFL. I think he's leading for Coach of the Year. He has been nothing short of incredible. The real deal. And it's not like there are first year head coaches that get the saying they were born on third base and think they hit a triple. That is not the case with Brian Daboll. He has not been gifted some sort of immaculate roster. He has made this team look damn good. Yeah,
it's crazy. And you look at it and you're like, okay, this defense is way better than the defense we thought we were going to see. They should not be as good as they are. I think that Jones has quietly played much better not much better football because I think he's had those games, but he's playing consistently good. And that's something that we haven't seen from him where you used to get flashes of him crap, maybe that Daniel Jones can be something, but now you're seeing him do it on a more consistent basis. You have the rookies really stepping up. I mean, again, the way that they're able to look at their opponents, go into the locker room at halftime, and they come out and they're able to finish the game. It's crazy. You see Andrew Thomas, who hasn't allowed a sack all season. He is playing up to the level that we wanted him to, and I think that the Giants every week, even Vegas is still kind of disrespecting them and what they've been able to do, but that's because this team on paper makes no sense. They should not be winning games with the talent that they have. So very impressive. I'm not getting too excited. Get us to 10 wins and then I'll start being oh, this is really fun. But now I'm happy for our success, but I'm not getting too excited yet. I'm any week that the loss has to be coming, and you think it is until they come out of the locker room after the half and all of a sudden you're this is a different team and they're going to win this game.
Steph, I love you more than life itself. You just lied to everybody saying that you're not excited. You tweeted, I'm pretty sure it's 20 straight tweets in all caps after that Giants comeback win. Don't sit here and just say that you're not excited.
I'm coming down from my high now because you expect the Giants to they've broken my heart so much the past couple of years, but for everyone to count them out, and I actually did this week, and I said it on my show, I don't personally bet on my team, not my vibe, not what I'm going to do. I'm very superstitious, but like I said on my show, they're covering. Like, I promise you this team is covering. I think that people are failing to realize, like, that they are competitive. They're fighting for their coach. They have much better quarterback play than they've seen. And they have guys that they're just totally bought in. And they play the whole entire game, not just first, second quarter like we used to see with the Jason Garrett type ordeal last season. So I'm very excited to not be pained and to be excited to like watch them on Sunday rather than it being like I'm gonna shut this game off and I can't wait to drop my fandom. But I'm definitely excited. I will not lie, it's cool. It's nice to see the NFC East as a whole better this year because we've had some really shitty football the past couple of years.
It really is back to like the NFC beast of the 90s and early 2000s. I'm going to give you 2 minutes. You can unload on me all you want. I hammered Giants under 7.5 wins. I hammered that prop. I look like a fool. I was dead wrong about this team. And I really think it comes down to like what you said. On paper, they looked bad. I still don't know what we're seeing on paper, but the game of football is played as like these are guys out here like they are human beings with passion and fight, and Brian Daboll is bringing out the best of everybody on that roster. They look phenomenal. It's got to be great to be a Giants fan right now.
Yeah, it's crazy too because they're not even healthy yet. Like they're not even at what they like their potential probably is. So I think that even for myself, like I am the first one to admit it. Like I had them at 6 wins. Like I thought that was their floor, their best floor possible. Did I think maybe they could sneak out that 7th, 8th? Maybe. Like, it depends how this... It's a very young team, too. Third youngest in the... A very, very young team. So, you look at it on paper, and it's still a new head coach. We all know the talk around that. So, you don't expect them to come out and be... Like, to be 5-1 is crazy to me. I still can't get over it. But then you start wondering, you're like, is this, like... There's something about this team, man, because they fight. And I've never... You know, not that I've never, because I have seen it. But a very long time ago when I was like just entering high school and we saw them playing like this where the culture did change and they tried so hard for a while. I don't know how hard they tried, but they got rid of like all the cancerous parts that we needed to get out of the building. And I think the guys really they're just bought in and it's awesome to see.
It's great to see people buy in. And I got to go to my team now because I'm selfish, and this is my show, so I got to talk about them. Bengals 30, Saints 26. I feel like we're finally over the Super Bowl hangover. Am I wrong? Please tell me. Please tell me I'm right, because the offense finally looked alive again.
Yeah, it absolutely did. I think that they, the O-line too looked more like what I thought I was going to see. Like going into the season, like that was the O-line, like more of what I was expected. You saw like this team every week is just putting it together. And you'd rather them do it now that, like they're correcting their mistakes. I think part of it too, and like, I mean, I'll let you speak on it, is like, I don't think the Saints are as like crappy as everyone thought they were going to. And I think they're playing a little bit better than we expected, but I think at the end of the day, like, we're going to see the Bengals end up, like, every single week getting better and better, and already, like, their floor was, like, still good and still better than a majority of the teams in this league. So, I liked watching that game back. I think that they're effectively running the ball from shot. They're doing everything that they need to do to play very complimentary football.
Yeah, I like what the Bengals have put together. I'm glad you spoke highly of this Saints team because I do think that they are a pretty solid team and better what the record shows. Obviously, they're playing without Jameis Winston right now. They were playing without their 3 starting wide receivers, Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry, and Chris Olave. So missing a lot of their offensive firepower, and yet they were still able to put up 26 points. Pete Carmichael is absolutely slept on in the NFL. I don't think he gets the respect he deserves because we hear all of these flashy names for these offensive coordinators, and Pete Carmichael has quietly kept this New Orleans offense chugging along. He's been there for 14 years as the offensive coordinator. That's absolutely insane to me, but he's been damn good at his job. I like what the Bengals are starting to do offensively. I think they're starting to find a little bit of an identity on the offensive line. I forget where I heard it. I think it was Kyle Long in an interview talked about how long it takes an offensive line to mesh. Like that, this is it's truly a unit. Wide receivers, they can play on their own island and showcase their talents. Corners, the same way. Defensive line aren't necessarily playing together as a unit, but the offensive line is, especially in the passing game. And I think, obviously, playing against TJ Watt and Micah Parsons your first two games certainly do not help as a Bengals fan, but it's good to see this offensive line finally start to mesh. I think we're finally starting to get some continuity, which is only going to get better. The Bengals didn't start out great last year. So I put the panic button away. Yeah. I haven't, destroyed it. I haven't burned it, but it's away. It's in the closet. We're good. We're 3-3, tied for the division lead. I'm alive.
Yeah, barely, but I'm alive. Right, barely. You're just not there. They almost killed you the first couple weeks. But I did say they played complimentary football. I don't think they played to their best ability because I do think this is more like of an offensive showing than it's been kind of like the defense show a little bit. And, Burrow kind of just stepped into his own, the O-line playing together. And I think once the defense kind of steps up and they start matching each other a little bit more, I think we'll just see the Bengals as we expected them to be this offseason.
Good. That warms my heart. I needed to hear it. I needed to hear it from an outside perspective. We got to talk about another team in the NFC South, though. Steelers 20, Buccaneers 18. Did the Buccaneers stink? They stunk on Sunday.
Yeah, and it's funny. I was just thinking about this today because I think the past couple weeks I've been on shows and I'm like, we know Tampa. It takes them a little bit to get to midseason form, and then they kind of just start showing up. I don't know if that's going to happen this year. I actually am starting to backtrack a little bit. I think they look bad. I don't know how they get to where I expected them to be at this point in the season.
Yeah, outside of their week one, they have 6 touchdowns in the last 5 games. That offense hasn't looked good under Brady. And I'm pretty sure one of your tweets that went off this offseason was nothing matters if the offensive line stinks. This offensive line lost all 3 of their interior offensive linemen over the offseason. I forget who their left guard was. He retired. Jensen tore his ACL. He's out for the year. And then Alex Kappa, whoever the offensive guard that the Bengals signed. So they lost all 3 of their interior linemen from last season, and it's showing. The Steelers were able to get pressure up the middle on Tom Brady, and their run game hasn't been incredibly effective. I don't think Leonard Fournette had a touchdown through the first 4 weeks to his fantasy owners' detriment. I think the Buccaneers will figure it out. I think they're still going to win that division, but they aren't a sexy pick anymore, and I don't think the NFC runs through them at this point.
I still think, are they going to make it to the playoffs? Probably when I say that, but we expect them to be a little bit better. We've seen Tom Brady, as he's gotten older, he's always played behind a great O-line, and when he does get pressured, he doesn't play as well as you would expect the GOAT to play. And also, the Steelers' defense, they're missing four of their top secondary defensive backs, including Minka, including Cameron Sutton. They're missing a lot there, and they were still able to hold the Bucs to 1 touchdown. And even just the Steelers defense in general has been not great, but they were able to show up. And I don't know what that is. Did Tom Brady party too hard at Kraft's freaking wedding? What are you doing? Him yelling, he's not being as much of a leader as I think we saw him too in the beginning of his career.
I guess it's football adjacent. Robert Kraft, what the hell are you doing having your wedding during football season when you own a team?
Yeah.
When you own a team.
I don't understand that. And I tweeted, I'm what kind of psychopath, has a wedding during, I don't care. Everyone's like, oh, it was Friday. I don't give a shit. He owns a football team. What are you guys talking about? It's still not okay. You have things to plan for and to be present at, and you're marrying a 40-something-year-old doctor and inviting your old, the whole thing was weird. I don't know. Don't love it. What are you doing? Not a fan.
Look, it's bad when us common folk are why the hell would you plan a wedding on a Sunday? He owns a team. What are we doing? Also, how big does your reception have to be if you're 70 getting married? You know what I mean? At this point, isn't it kind of a formality?
Yeah. Isn't it also something maybe that's more private thing at some point. Like, why are we making it a celebrity event? Like, Ed Sheeran was there. What is going on?
That's a little crazy. Whatever. Keeping with the NFC South, we got to talk about tied for the division lead Falcons, 3-3. The most important thing is that they're 6-0 against the spread, and that's what matters in our hearts. Yeah. That's everybody. The very consistent Falcons. That's what we said all off season. Everybody knows how consistent they are. They look good, actually. Like not good, but like. They don't look incompetent, which is a lot better than what I thought they were going to be.
They're like a fine football. Like they're in every game. They're, again, like I'm going to keep betting them until they don't cover. Like, fine. If you guys want to play this thing, you want to keep it going, 6-0 against the spread, I'm going to keep betting on you because I think there is something there. It's interesting though, because you look at the Falcons and you're like, what are you guys doing though? Because you're like in this limbo of being like just average or above. And you're going to either, like, screw yourself or, like, I don't know what's going on there. I don't know what to make of it. I'm happy Kyle Pitts got a touchdown. I think the 49ers are maybe not as, I don't want to say they're not as, I think everyone was putting them on a pedestal, and I think a lot of that maybe fell when Trey Lance got hurt, but I don't think that there should have been this big of a drop-off with Jimmy G because he has been there. Not based on talent, just based on experience with the team and being a seasoned veteran. I don't think the Falcons are as bad as everyone thinks. They have a decent secondary. They've got some really, there's things that, some gaping holes in their roster, but they do enough. And Arthur Smith loves the run, and he's making it work with the run, and Marcus Mariota can show up sometimes, and when he does, he can be pretty brilliant at times.
Yeah, it's kind of, the Falcons scored 28 points, and Mariota completed 13 passes. Like that doesn't mesh in my brain mentally, but somehow meshes on the field, and they've looked good. Kyle Pitts finally got a touchdown to the rejoice of my fantasy team and anybody who drafted him. I still don't understand his usage because he's blocking like greater than 50% of the snaps, which is just astronaut. Anybody who watched even a single game of his at Florida knows that he was the best pass catcher in any game, period. I just don't understand how they're using it, but they're 3-3, so I can't really be that much of a judge. Also, I'm shocked that the Falcons are leading the league in rush attempts through 6 weeks. I would have never guessed that.
I don't know. And is it like this lack of wide receivers? Is it like not fully trusting Mariota to get the ball downfield? But like we've seen him do it. Like I don't know if it's just that, but they have random like the guy. Who's the one kid that's fit? I just picked him up. Huntley. What was his name?
Caleb Huntley.
Oh my God. He's like doing fantastic. Looks very good. I think they did a good job probably also in the draft, better than we all said, because I think that they were getting pretty shitty grades when those draft grades were coming out. I don't know. There's something to the Falcons. Are they going to go very far? No. But are they going to stay in every game and kind of piss people off and be a pest? Yeah, I think they are going to be a little bit of a pest.
I love that. Teams that just ruin other teams' seasons.
It's fine.
I also think we have, like, 49ers. We'll talk about the NFC West, but I got questions. Mm-hmm. Speaking of another team with an absolute who just pissed down their leg, Jets 27, Packers 10. The Packers, this team stinks. Like I joked that the Buccaneers stink. They'll be fine. They're going to win their division.
They'll figure it out.
But they'll figure it out. This Packers team, I'm not going to sit here and say that they have the worst wide receiver room in the NFL, but it's bottom 5. It's bad.
So here's my thing, though. It is bad, but I think that the whole, he has no weapons thing is a little overstated because I'm a Giants fan. And I see what my wide receiver room looks like. And are they passing the ball a lot? No. But is Daniel Jones making it work with Richie James and Marcus Johnson and, kind of Wando Robinson because he just came back? Yeah. If you're Aaron Rodgers, I'm sorry. I actually don't think his wide receiver room is that bad for being Aaron Rodgers. Maybe, he said, you need to simplify the playbook. Maybe they need to adjust a little bit to, no, it's not Devontae Adams. But you have Aaron Jones. You have, Christian Watson. Adam Lazard's fine. He's actually a decent wide receiver one. I think you can make it work. Romeo Doubs, figure it out. Amari Rodgers, I don't know. I'm kind of sick of the excuses for Aaron Rodgers. I think he's a shitty leader, is what I think. I think he's kind of checked out a little bit. I really do.
I don't hate that take. And there's already the rumors coming out that he's planning, like he's essentially locked in to retire after this season. I don't hate that take. I think he might just not be 100%. Like when you want guys to buy in, I don't think he's bought in. I think over the offseason, you kind of seen that, and it looks to be that way. Are the Packers on the outside looking in December and January? I think there's a chance.
Yeah, I think so too. But, and I'm going to get probably super annoyed when I see all these takes about it being like about Devontae Adams and whatever. Is like, no, I'll be the first one to admit, I thought the Packers were actually going to be awesome this year. I thought their defense was going to be fantastic. I loved what they added in the draft. I didn't think Devontae Adams was going to be the reason that they didn't succeed. And I still don't think that's it. I think there's another layer to this that maybe we're not seeing. I mean, you're watching them on the field. They look bad. Like, they don't look like a good football team. I watched that. You watched the Giants and the Jets beat them. Do we know how good the Giants or the Jets are? Both teams might be, Giants are a little bit different while Jets have talent, and they both might be a little bit sneaky good and these sneaky contenders, whatever you want to call them. But, like, beating Aaron Rodgers, I don't know, back to back. And I was not on the Jets this week. I actually was like, this is the perfect rebound for him. Aaron Rodgers is going to pull it together. It's going to be fine. But I don't know. I'm getting a little tired of him. I think he's been checking out a little bit each year for the past couple of years because he's playing like some of his worst football since like 2019 and even, better than that year. But still, like, it's just something's not there.
Yeah, and they're also making like special teams errors, like really costly penalties. Yeah, they don't look like they have it all together. But let's look at two teams who do have it all together. Bills 24, Chiefs 20. A great game, not the barn burner that we were all hoping for, but good defense showed up, especially for Buffalo. While I'm not going to sit here and say that this is a AFC Championship game preview because people said that last year and that was obviously not the case, I do think that these are two teams in line to win their division. I think the Bills are just the better team right now. I think they're more complete. I think defensively is actually what sets the Bills apart from the Chiefs. That and their wide receivers. I mean, but Juju got a touchdown, so
yeah. There you go. I think
in
so.
MVS.
I know. Look at it. He's making it happen. I think that the Bills are just they're just so adding like that pass rush. Like they did enough where they're, again, like it terrifies me that people were talking about them maybe getting CMC. If they get CMC, there's not much to complain about.
No, that's filthy.
I'm like, that's just rude. You can't do that. There almost should be bylaws against that. Like, I don't know what it is, but to some extent, you should be able to have that much talent on one team. But again, just like, some of these teams, and I think the players are all bought in. I think they're well coached. I think the defense is just phenomenal. And do I think the Chiefs, though, can get there and end up? I do think that we might see the Chiefs end up still coming up on top. I like what the Chiefs are doing still. I know they lost, but
I'm never going to sit here and say that there's zero chance that Patrick Mahomes doesn't at least have a shot, right? Like he's Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, those two have been incredible together. I'm not going to sit here and count them out at all. I just think right now, sitting here in the third weekend of October, the Bills are at least the better team currently.
Yeah, and they've been the most consistent team, I think, in the league, and it's very obvious that they are. We could talk about the Eagles, which I'm sure we'll get to at some point, and they might be the other ones that we can maybe talk about. But the Bills they're so well-rounded. They're playing great football, and hopefully it's for their fans, I'd love that for them. Like, I do hope they get to the Super Bowl because I think their fans deserve it. But I don't know. Things can happen, too. And then we all know how weird, the regular season's one thing, but it's a whole different animal once you get past that.
Oh, yeah. The playoffs are a different beast. I think this game could have a big potential in determining some AFC playoff seeding.
Yeah.
But a game in Buffalo and a game in Arrowhead, that matters a lot in the playoffs. If you had to rank these fan bases, are the Bills, I would put the Bills ahead of the Chiefs. I saw something on Twitter that went, I don't know if it was semi-viral, just viral for me, but I saw that the people were arguing that the Chiefs had better fans. I didn't know a single Chiefs fan prior to the Patrick Mahomes era. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. Bills fans have been Bills fans for God knows how long.
I agree. I also think, so I was under the... I kind of found Bills fans a little bit annoying this offseason, but like rightfully so. But I would definitely, like, I didn't know a Chiefs fan until they started maybe becoming relevant. And even then, I think it took until me joining the industry to find one. Like, and now I know a couple, obviously, but Bills fans are diehard. And when you've gone through pain with your team, you know, as a Bengals fan, like,
oh yeah,
you are diehard.
You're locked in.
Like, that is like, you would do anything for this team. And I think that the Bills have that. And you see it even at games. Like, I would love to go to a Bills game because I am sure it's just absolutely electric there.
Yeah, I'd like to hit every NFL stadium at some point, but like that is one that like that is a big check on the list. Absolutely. But you mentioned it. We got to talk about the Eagles Cowboys. Can we please now finally shut the hell up about Cooper Rush?
Please.
He was never going to be the guy. Can we? I thought that he could have like he could be Washington's quarterback for a year type of guy, but he's not. He was never going to take Dak's job.
No, it was never happening. And you know what happens a lot, and thought about this today too, is like sometimes teams just don't have enough film on these guys. So it like ends up being like it's more just no one was prepared for Cooper Rush to come in and be decent. So now he came in, people started learning a little bit about him, and he's kind of just showing that Cooper Rush is not like a QB1 set in stone, like let's actually have a controversy over whether we're having Dak Prescott or Cooper Rush. It's a great story. Love Cooper Rush from Michigan. Fantastic story. But listen, he's not beating out Dak Prescott as their QB1.
Yeah, I agree. And the Eagles wagon rolls on. The thing with the Eagles is a lot of people say that they haven't played anybody yet. And I'm going to be honest, I kind of agree a little bit. They just haven't been tested. But you can only play the teams in front of you. So I don't know like what to say to that. They have the easiest schedule, or one of the easiest schedules in the NFL going forward. I think the Giants actually might have the easiest in terms of the record of the teams that they have playing. But I think the Eagles look very good. I think Nick Sirianni is doing an incredible job. Their defense should get a lot of credit. Bringing in Chancey Gardner-Johnson had a great game, obviously, with the 2 interceptions. But bringing him in was a big add for that defense. And the Eagles, everything's humming. They're all healthy. They look good so far through 6 weeks.
They do, but... And this is me.
Okay.
I'm
trying
not to be a hater because I know I have this both Giants footballs behind me and everyone knows I'm a Giants fan and blah, 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 blah. But do you agree that the Eagles look less dominant the last 2 weeks as they did to the beginning of the season? Because I do feel that way.
That I will agree with. But I also think they played better competition the last 2 weeks than they did at the beginning of the season.
Absolutely. And I think the Eagles, and I felt this way. I smashed their win total over. I knew they were going to be fantastic. You saw what they were able to do this offseason in the draft. Everything they did. They set this team up for success. Jalen Hurts is coming into his own. And, I think that I would love to see them actually play some competition, but we're not going to see it. And I saw a lot of Eagles fans complaining because Cowboys fans are complaining that, you beat us with our backup quarterback who threw 3 interceptions. And they're not really wrong either because I think there is something to that. And I think the Eagles, as long as they stay healthy, they're very much obviously going to make a playoff run. They're a good team, great football team. I think Sirianni has something there. And we'll see if they can keep up what they're going to be able to do when they're actually put under pressure. Because not only are they not seeing that in season, it's literally going to take until the postseason to see someone that's actually competitive.
I agree. They haven't been tested, and I think it's a kind of something that I at least carry over from college football. But I want to see a team show what they're capable of when their back's against the wall.
Yeah,
and right now the Eagles haven't done that yet. They haven't had to, but I would like to see a team do it because. Patriots back in 2007, their backs were never put against the wall, and we all saw how that worked out. So
yeah, exactly.
It is what it is. I like to see a team be tested. The Eagles have not. Let's talk about the Monday Night Football game that hasn't happened yet at the time of this recording. Who's winning?
Listen, I'm very torn on this one. I like the Chargers to win, but I will say this week was weird. Chargers D is not what I thought they were going to be. If the Broncos are going to put something together, like, they better start doing it tonight. Like, if you want to not be the complete laughingstock, tonight is the night. Like, you have the worst scoring offense in the entire league, scoring 15 points. They were averaging the last 3 games like 14.3 points. How do you believe in this team? And it's really hard. Russ doesn't look great. They're lucky for their defense. I like the Chargers to win, but I think that the Broncos, if they are the talent that's on the pitch, you know what the problem is? Nathaniel Hackett. He's the problem. I can't invest in him either. Like,
I think he's a good OC. I think he's a goober of a head coach, and I don't think you can have a goober of a head coach and a goober of a quarterback and have that have a team. Now, like, this sounds stupid, but like, who the hell do you go to for leadership on that team? Because there isn't a lot of veterans defensively, like Melvin Gordon. You saw the look that Melvin Gordon was serving Russ. Yeah. Like, I think they're a corny ass team, and I kind of think it's showing out on the football field, which you wouldn't think it would, because I do think that Nathaniel Hackett is a talented offensive coordinator, and Russ is obviously a good quarterback. But God, it has just been ugly meshing together. That being said, I'm going to take the Broncos tonight. So we'll see when this comes out on Thursday who was wrong.
But I can't. I'm not yet. I took Denver to score over 20.5 points. I think that they can do that tonight. So, but if I take that over, and I'm telling you, if they do not, I'm out on the Broncos. Everything. I will not bet on them a single game the rest of the season.
Love that. Love that for us. We'll see how this will age after this comes out. It may not be pretty. Let's talk about the state of the NFL. I actually do think that there's some legitimacy to this. I think there is a legitimate questions about the quarterback of the New England Patriots going forward. Bailey Zappi has looked good. And for those of you who weren't familiar with Bailey Zappi prior to the start of this NFL season, now that he's getting some shine with Hoyer and Mac Jones being hurt, Bailey Zappi broke Joe Burrow's record for yards and touchdowns in a season. He's that damn good. Now, granted, it was at Western Kentucky, not against elite SEC competition like Joe did, but Zappi isn't just some Joe Schmo loser. He can sling it, and he's looked good.
He's looked really good, and I think I tweeted this morning, too. Like, everyone wanted to talk about the QB controversy in Dallas. No, let's talk about the actual QB controversy, because that shit is in New England, and I think it's real. I think Mac Jones, there was already starting to be a little bit like, what's going on with Mac Jones this year? Not looking great. Bailey gets into a position where he probably wouldn't have seen the field had, it took a lot of men to go down before he was able to get the opportunity. The dude, his lowest passer rating since he's played is 100. I mean, like, the guy is balling out, whatever you want to say, and the Pats have a soft schedule, and I think that if Mac comes back, and first of all, we've seen Belichick's history. Like, he has no problem being like, bye, Mac, you're good. You're going on the bench. Like, this kid's in. Like, he doesn't care. He's done it how many times in the past? They have a soft schedule. You need the quarterback in there that's going to win you games. And if it's Bailey, then it's Bailey.
Yeah, and I don't think this is necessarily a knock on Mac Jones. I think he's been okay. But the problem is Bailey's been great. And like you said, that schedule coming up, they get the Bears at home on Monday Night Football next week. And then they get the Jets and the Colts. Like, I think Mac is supposed to return possibly for that Jets game, maybe against the Colts in Foxborough. But either way, those are all winnable games going forward. If Bailey Zappi wins out and you're sitting, with a chance to, especially if the Bills drop one and you have a chance to like really make some noise in that division, I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
And he's fun to watch too. Like, I'm kind of rooting for the kid, but it's hard because I do like Mac Jones. Like, I do love him, and I love the player that he is, and he's been fine. Like, again, like, he hasn't been bad. I think Bailey Zappi, which is so crazy because you look at it and it's like, why does he seem like he's able to do more with the same things that Mac Jones had. Like, there hasn't been that many changes there for them to have this big difference. So it'll be interesting to see what Bill does. I wonder if they take the approach where it's like, oh, let's one more week while you get healthy, which maybe Dallas was doing that quietly. I don't know. We'll never know if that's the case. I think damn well, Dak is going to play next week. But maybe they take an extra week or two to get Mac healthy. We'll see, because their schedule is not, it's not hard.
Yeah, I think in all likelihood, it probably does end up being Mac again at some point. But it would be so Patriots for them to take Bailey Zappi, play him for 5-6 games, and then ship him off for a first-round pick next off season.
Sure.
God damn it, Bill Belichick! He's
so annoying. How does he do it?
It's so easy to hate on success, and he's so damn good at his job.
He really is.
All right, we got to talk about the AFC North because I'm selfish. Who is winning this division right now? The Bengals are sitting at 3-3. The Ravens are sitting at 3-3, and Lord knows that they could choke on just about anything at this point. What the hell? Baltimore didn't I'm not saying they gave the game to New York by any means, because New York came out, they put together 2 great drives at the end of that game. But Lamar had a tough interception. The defense hasn't shown up, but the Bengals have struggled. The Browns, they got their asses kicked by New England this week. Who's winning the AFC North?
Yeah, and it's funny, again, we're friends, and I took the Ravens. I'm the first one to admit when I am wrong, don't love what my takes were. Things change. The Ravens are disappointing this season, and yes, it's still early, but I expected them to be way more dominant than they are being. I don't know. I understand there's been some injuries. Lamar doesn't look last week, I was like, you're really letting the Giants do this to you, dude? What are you doing here? The defense doesn't look great. I like the Bengals to win this division. I don't think it's right now. I think they're clearly stronger, and I think they're trending in the right direction, where I think the Ravens are trending in a direction that's putting them further away from taking this division.
I'll agree with that. I think Lamar's been okay. He has 13 touchdowns, which is tied for 3rd in the NFL. The issue is the interceptions. He has 6 already this season, and say what you will about Lamar's passing, he hasn't been an interception throwing type of guy throughout his career. So that's been kind of surprising to me. Hopefully it gets a little bit better if Rashad Bateman comes back healthy, but yeah, they just haven't clicked offensively. Kenyon Drake was their leading rusher. What happened to J.K. Dobbins? I don't, the Ravens are just kind of,
they're finding, every game I feel like they're just trying things, and then what works, they keep doing it over and over again, and it's working for that game, but it's not something, they don't have a lot of consistency to their play yet. And I don't know that they're playing great, complementary football by any means, and that defense needs to step up a little bit, honestly.
Yeah.
Too much talent to look like that, in my opinion. They're man, it's fine.
Yeah, I don't think they have an identity.
No,
I don't think they know who they are as a football team yet.
No. And it's early. It's still early. They can figure it out, absolutely. I don't know what their schedule looks like. Admittedly, I haven't looked at it. Don't think it was as strong as I thought it was. I thought they had a fairly easy schedule when I was making my predictions earlier, but yeah, I don't know. I'm on the Bengals. I think the Bengals are going to figure it out. The Bengals love being counted out. They're that team. It's you counted us out.
The gritty underdog.
Yeah, I love it.
Rat poison mentality.
Which I love, because the Giants are starting to act like that too. It's awesome. I'm be the Bengals. I don't care. You can be the Bengals. Love it.
Let's move to the AFC North or NFC North instead of the AFC North. The Vikings, 5-1, sold. They have the second best record in the NFC because of the Eagles, but the Vikings, this is their division to lose at this point, right? They've already beaten the Packers once. Actually, they've beaten every team in their division once already. So
yeah,
I really think the Vikings have a strong. They have not looked perfect. They have not dominated many games, to be honest, but I still think that the Vikings have a great chance to make the playoffs, win this division, keep moving forward. People love to slander on Kirk Cousins, but damn it, the guy does win games.
Yeah, he does. And here's the thing, too, with the Vikings. Like, it's absolutely their division to lose. And I think their defense has really been a thorn in their side. On top of Kirk Cousins actually isn't playing at, like, compared to last year. Right now, he's not playing, I don't think, to his fullest ability. I don't know if that's with the coaches and the changes that were made, and that's fine. But one thing with the defense is, I will admit, the past 2 games, like, the secondary is stepping up and they're overall playing better. So maybe they're another team that just needs a little bit more time to be like, okay, this is our identity. Another team, don't think they fully know their identity. Like, some games we don't see Justin Jefferson as involved. I think they need this bye week. I think they can come out really hot after this bye week, too. And at the end of the day, good teams find ways to win, and they weren't doing that last season. Whereas this season, like, they are winning those games where they would have lost last season.
That is you hit the nail right on the head. Zimmer always found a way to lose 2 or 3 or 4 games that he just shouldn't have lost. Like, they give it up at the end of the game, but this week, like, they had a chance. They had a chance to lose this one.
Yeah.
And then Dalvin Cook had a 54-yard run, pretty much iced it. And that's what, like, winning teams win when things aren't going the right way all the time. The Vikings are doing that. I like how they're positioned going forward. I have a nice futures Vikings-Bengals to play in the Super Bowl bet that
I love it.
I feel.
I have one too.
I don't feel incredible about it, but I don't feel bad either, which is better than some of my bets.
I mean, they're at least making it. I think we can say, like, they should have no problem, like, getting themselves to the postseason. You look at Chicago, who ultimately, like, you guys can cut it anyway. Chicago is a disaster. Like, they're a disaster. They've done everything wrong. They're an example of how you do not run your franchise right now. They're going to ruin Justin Fields, and so be it. You look at Rodgers. Rodgers looks checked out. He's not playing his best football. And then I don't really know what to make of Detroit. Like, I think they were this pretend Cinderella story that's not really translating to the field.
Detroit is feisty. You can only be feisty for so long. At some point, you become annoying. And that's kind of what Detroit is becoming at this point, is like, oh yeah, they're feisty and they're fun, and like their defense sucks and their offense puts up points. But like, at some point, you just got to win football games, and they're not doing that.
Exactly. Do you want to be the team that just stays in every game, or do you want to actually win games? And that's the difference between a good team and a bad team. Detroit is still a bad team.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of bad teams that I think are good but might be bad, the Colts are a half game back of the Titans in the AFC South. I was higher on the Colts. Definitely higher than what they are now, at least.
Yeah.
They've looked bad, quite frankly, to start the year. They've already played 2 games against the Jags, split them. It took a comeback win against the Jaguars. I don't know what to make of this division as a whole. Are the Titans good enough to have it? Because I don't think the Titans are good by any stretch of the imagination. But I also don't think the Colts are good. I think the Jaguars stink, and we know what the Texans are.
I hate this division, and honestly, I think at some point outside of the Texans, I think I have a futures on all 3 of these teams to win once I saw the best number, because I thought it really was going to take either shitty coaching to ruin one team or one injury to ruin this team. I don't know what to make of the Colts either, because I think they're not playing to where they could be. You saw Matt Ryan, I think that was his best game that he's played this season, but it's also the first time they were actually showing any protection for him. So can the Colts kind of pull it together and protect Matt Ryan? I don't know, because he also does look very not the Matt Ryan that we want to remember. You want to go down remembering Matt Ryan as the Hall of Famer, Matt Ryan, whatever. I think the Titans could still pull it together. They kind of always do. I don't think either of these teams have this real shot in some kind of postseason run. No. But I think it's probably between these two. And the Jags are interesting, they were interesting. This past week, I'm kind of losing my, I don't know if I think you're that interesting anymore. I think that the rest of your division has just not been playing up to their ability.
I do like how Trevor Lawrence has looked, though.
Me too.
I think Jacksonville can say this going, I think he's shown that he can be the guy.
Absolutely.
And that's at least what because I'm throwing last year out the window. That Urban Meyer team was disgusting to watch. It was awful. Right. You're at least seeing the bright spots of Trevor Lawrence, why you drafted him number 1 overall. And that's good to see. You need to see that as a Jags fan because I don't know if you have hope in much else. And then NFC West, last State of the Union for the NFL that we'll talk about. Every team in this division, the Seahawks are 3-3. The Rams 3-3? Rams are 3-3, and the 49ers are 3-3. What is going on in the NFC West? Or is this a case of these teams are beating up on each other, or does this division actually kind of stink?
This division's so annoying. Like, I don't even know what to make of them. I think probably looking back, a lot of the signs maybe were there and a lot of us kind of looked past them. Like, I think that some of the reasons why these teams are not playing that well were very obvious. The Seahawks are very much a surprise to me. But at the same time, like, don't you kind of feel like this is a team that's got to slow down at some point? Like, I don't know. And I get it, and I love the story, but, like, there's a reason why Geno Smith has been a backup in this league, and it's because he's not made to play 17 football games a season. Like, I love that he's doing fantastic, and I hope I'm wrong, because I love Geno Smith. But interesting. I think the Rams have a lot to look at. I think that I'm not impressed with them being the Carolina Panthers. There might be some trouble over there in Los Angeles.
Their offensive line is
garbage.
Abysmal. It's garbage. It's terrible. I understand that Andrew Whitworth retired, and I guess they have injuries essentially across the entire offensive line. They look bad everywhere on that front. They can't run the football at all, and I understand Cam Akers is no longer with the team due to personal reasons or whatever's going on there, which it is what it is. I just hope he gets right. But that Rams offense, outside of Cooper Kupp, God forbid that, something looks abnormal with him. But outside of that offense looks like it stinks. The 49ers I think the 49ers end up probably winning this division.
That's how I feel too. I think
don't love it.
No, I don't. And I think it might come down. This might be one, I haven't looked at the schedules, but this is probably going to come down to the end of the season. Really depends on if the Rams can kind of pull it together. But unfortunately, Matthew Stafford, as great as he is, he's not a quarterback that can play. Not a lot of quarterbacks can have bad O-line play. He is certainly not one of them. Like, the dude's 100%. Interception prop is a automatic lock every single week because he just can't handle getting pressured. I don't know what's going on there. It feels like this is also a team that maybe there's a little bit more going on, like, behind door. Like, I think there's a little behind the scenes stuff going on. The Akers stuff is a little bit weird. I don't know. They've got to figure it out, though, if they think they're winning this, because I think the 49ers are going to end up, I don't want to say running away, because I think it's still up for grabs, but who knows? Watch both these teams shit the bed. Could the Seahawks end up winning? I mean, if they see the way they're playing, can you imagine?
You want to talk?
You
want to talk about?
Oh my god!
If they make the postseason and the Broncos do not, the chaos that would ensue from that is absolutely hilarious. Because they would have like a top, 15 pick or whatever.
Yeah.
The Seahawks or the Broncos are tied to Russell Wilson till 2028. Like, jeez.
I already thought that they had won that trade, and I was probably on that lone island by myself. I actually thought the Seahawks made out like bandits in that trade. I think it was time, obviously, for Russell Wilson to move forward. If you're going to be able to do it now before he gets any older, because people forget, like, he was already struggling, like, to get Metcalf the ball last season. Like, he was having his own struggles, and I think that was independent of the Seahawks. So to see him go to Denver and for him to have, some other similar problems, and I don't think it was, maybe Carroll's not as bad as we all think.
Yeah, for one, I was calling for Pete Carroll's job, and it turns out I think I was wrong. But let's look ahead to week 7.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. I don't love this slate. I looked at it. There's some plays I like. There's some plays I hate. But I don't love the slate. The most confusing line happens to be because of your New York Giants.
Yeah.
Please, for the love of God, explain to me why they are 3-point dogs against the Jaguars. I do not get it. A 5-1 team is a 3-point dog to a 2-4 team.
It's interesting though. So are they? And everyone's like, it's a trap. It's a trap. I'm like, it's kind of a trap. It's also only a field goal. I don't know how like trappy you want this to really be. It's a little bit of a trap, but I think we see this end up flipping at some point. I would be surprised to see this continue. I'm staying away from this. I said earlier, I don't bet on the Giants anyways, but really the Jags, like I like the over in this game for sure. I do really like the over. I think it probably will be a little bit higher scoring. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm reading this wrong, but I have a hard time seeing the Giants going in there and losing.
I agree. I just don't. At some point, I think you have to recognize that good teams you win games for a reason. Yeah. Like, the Giants are the worst 5-1 team I've ever seen. And I understand that everybody likes to point back to the 2020 Steelers because they were kind of fraudulent starting out 11-0. But I don't think anybody's sitting here and saying that the Giants are some sort of Super Bowl contenders. But I also, like, they're a good team that wins football games. And at some point, like, water finds its level, good teams beat bad teams. I think this is a good team playing a bad team. And I understand that maybe the Giants aren't, an 83% winning team, but they're damn sure better than the Jags. Yeah. I like the Giants in this one. I'll probably split my units on this one, put half on the points, half on the money line. And
I think they've only not been, they've been underdogs except for the game that they lost, which is the Cowboys. So, like, I'm going to keep riding this. Like, if that is the way the trend is going, again, like, not betting on my own team. But I think the Giants are pulling it together. The Jags have proven that they can score points. So, I think here we could see this number go over. Maybe we see it being a little bit higher scoring than we expected. But I think this line's going to move a little bit. So if you are in on the Giants, like, now is the time to do it instead of waiting. Because I think this will get a little bit closer as we move forward.
I agree. Another line that I like, Ravens -6.5. I think that this Browns team isn't very good. I also think that they struggle once they get a lead. And when you look at every Ravens game so far this year, they've either had a lead and kept it, or they had a lead and lost it, but either way they had a lead, right? They had a lead against the Dolphins, against the Bills, and against the Giants. I do not trust Jacoby Brissett to come back like I trust Josh Allen to come back, or how I actually did kind of trust Tua, to show something. I don't trust Jacoby Brissett. I don't think he is that guy. And once the Browns get down, I think it goes bad from there. So I'm going to take Ravens -6.5. I also like the Ravens in the first half. I think it's -3. But I'm going to take the first half line for that as well.
Yeah, if you are not betting like Ravens first half, Eagles first half, Giants second half, like, you are missing out on like some serious cash at this point, because these teams are so consistent in those halves. So I'm with you on this one. I think the Browns are not a good football team right now. Maybe that changes, but again, what's the identity here? It almost feels like they're very much waiting for Watson to come back, and I hate that too, because it's like, what are you doing?
You can't, because you're going to be out if you do.
Yeah, you're going to miss. Like, and their schedule's not easy. Like, it's not that easy moving forward.
Yeah, I think they're going to be in a point where Watson comes back, and it's going to take
they're 2-9.
Yeah, they need, these teams to lose and these teams to win, and then they have to win out in order to make the postseason. I think it's going to be a kind of a lost cause. Kevin Stefanski, I'm also I got questions. Kevin Stefanski. Like, I'm not.
Lost him for a while, but I have a question.
Button, but
not ready. It's out
though. Another game, Chiefs -3 at the 49ers, is interesting to me. I don't love either side, but right now Kansas City is getting 86% of the bets.
Really?
That is at least on FanDuel, that is a ton. I don't know how I feel about that. Just something to keep an eye on. If you like the 49ers, I think this line will move. but I don't know how much it moves. I kind of like the 49ers in this one. I think like the Chiefs on the road in San Francisco. Am I crazy?
No, I don't think you're crazy. I don't know, though. I'm not sold on these 49ers, though, is my problem. Every week it's like, oh, I liked that, but I hated everything else. I don't hate it, though. I don't hate it. I think they can at least cover this game 100%. They're at home. There's no reason they can't. Does this game go over the total, though, is my question.
47.5.
It's a little high for me. I
agree. And the 49ers defense outside of against the Falcons, which is kind of an aberration, but defensively they have been very sound. The one thing I'm going to keep an eye on for this total, they were missing 3 defensive linemen headed into that Falcons game.
Fair.
If those guys are healthy, I like the under a little bit more.
100%.
If you can make the Chiefs one-dimensional, I think that gives you a shot at beating them. So
yeah, absolutely. I don't disagree with you at all. I'll run before we jump off. There's like a couple other games I really like. I'll just rip them off, and then you tell me what you think. I think that Texans, Las Vegas -7, a little too many points for me. For a team that's been staying in games, is coming off a bye, not really a fan. What is it? Seahawks, they're getting the Chargers 7? I don't know about that either. A few of these games, just not into. Steelers at Miami is interesting. Do we think the Steelers, if Watt comes back, is there something, can they hold them a little bit more? A few games I'm looking at, but again, like, not a fan of this entire slate. I think you highlighted the ones that I'm the most interested in. Depending on tonight, I think Denver -3 is a little much against New York Jets. I think the New York Jets could absolutely beat them.
I like that. I like that. Dolphins game will be interesting. We'll see if they announce that Tua is the starter.
Tua's a big deal, yes.
He passed the concussion protocol, but they sat him out last week because he didn't get the reps. So we'll see how, he was cleared to practice. So we'll see how Tua progresses, if he ends up starting, if it ends up being Teddy Bridgewater. I agree. Chargers is too many points against the Seahawks. I think division game. I like Seattle to keep that close. Why are the Raiders are 1-4? Why are they 7-point favorites on anybody?
Are you kidding? That's just too much. And honestly, again, like we talked about this earlier in the episode, like some of these teams, like if you want to be the annoying pest team, be the annoying pest team. Like that's kind of what they are. It's like them in Detroit. They kind of stay in every game. Are they a good football game? No. But are they playing football and staying on the field and staying in the game? Yeah. That's a lot of points for a lot. I think everyone, not everyone, Vegas is still expecting the Raiders to kind of catch on at some point. I don't know if that's fully happening. A whole touchdown?
The worst part
I don't know.
The worst part of that is they're getting 64% of the bets too. It's kind of.
Of course they are.
Like, all right, but
all right,
yeah, fine. as of right now, Las Vegas would have the number 2 overall pick. So
what are we doing?
Yeah, tough. All right. Steph, thanks for coming on. I appreciate you. All of Steph's social media, obviously her Twitter handle is on the screen, but if you are listening to this in the audio format, her socials are going to be in the description. Absolutely check her out on Twitter. She is a phenomenal follow. Steph, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And download the Champions Round app. They do incredible stuff. One of my favorite apps to use. It just makes Sunday that much better. Just makes Sunday that much more fun.
We got to do this soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, Steph.
See ya.